So last night I was watching YouTube shorts and I saw a video of two Asian kids being quizzed on Nigeria by I'm guessing it's their dad. It's not really a channel that I'm familiar with. I wish now that I had actually checked their name because I would love to commend them. Anyways, they were being asked questions about, the Nigerian affairs, basically. Stuff like the capital of Nigeria, who is the president of Nigeria, and stuff like that. And when they were asked which to name when they were asked to name a country that borders with Nigeria, in my mind, the one country that I thought of for sure was Ghana, and one of the kids answered Chad. And in my head, I thought, okay, maybe not Ghana is just one of them, but definitely not Chad. And it turns out the kid was right. The Chad was a correct answer. And I was like, Chad, because I don't know. I'm not going to say that I don't know. I think it's definitely very ignorant that I don't know that Chad is a neighboring country to Nigeria. But I just recently learned about the fact that there are 56 countries in Nigeria, and I don't know all of them, and I didn't know about Chad. Definitely did not know what Chad is or where it is, except in just recently watching YouTube videos, and just something like this one now where people answer questions about different countries, or they have all these different games where they ask people questions about all sorts of things, and geography obviously included, that I even learned about Chad, heard the name Chad. Then when I was studying, when I was looking into Africa as a continent and the countries in Africa, I learned that Chad, not that I learned it, it was just writing down African countries basically, and seeing that Chad is an African country. And so and I think when I was writing it down, it wasn't in West Africa, so I didn't think of it as anything that would be close to Nigeria. So after I watched those kids, I feel like I should be more ashamed of these things that I'm saying than I actually am. Anyways, I went to just Google Chad, and I saw that Chad and Nigeria are neighbors, but Chad is in Central Africa. I was like, oh, that makes sense. So that's why I wasn't thinking of it as a neighboring country. And then I was like, but Ghana, because in Nigeria, Ghana and Nigeria is a very common I don't want to use the word neighbor, since I'm talking about the fact that we are not. So, but people, we are always talking about Nigeria and Ghana. So I thought, and Nigerians going to Ghana, basically just easily. I don't know how easy I have. So I always thought they just cross from here to there. I'm thinking they still do, but maybe there is a desert between them. So I think Nigeria, but I wish I'm very factual about this. I hate that I'm not being very factual about my I think what the thing is that Nigeria shares the border with the desert, and then people pass through that desert to get to Ghana. But that means we don't have a direct border with Ghana. I'll have to look into this, even if I don't come up on this video to um, update it to make sure it's correct, at least on my own knowledge. Anyway, so that's how I got to looking into Ghana and Nigeria, and I thought, and that's how I went to think, oh, Ghana must go. I think it's also because I saw a video 2 days ago that someone saying, oh, in the 1980s it was Nigeria saying Ghana must go, and now in 2025 that is Ghana saying Nigerians and Ghana must go back to their country. So I think that watching that video 2 days ago, and then having this experience last night and making those researches led me to looking into the Ghana must go history, because Ghana must go is a thing here, but mostly because of the back. We have the Ghana must go back, so it's still what we call it. So now looking into this Ghana must go issue, I realized that it wasn't just about Ghana precisely, but about immigrants from African countries like Ghana, Cameroon, Mali, that were in Nigeria at the time, that the president, a military president, had made an executive order that although every immigrant in Nigeria that were undocumented had to go back to their countries. And this was in 1983. And looking into this, but they said it's mostly Ghanaians. They say over 1 million Ghanaians were in Nigeria. They had to go back to their country. And total population of everybody from all those different countries, including Ghana, were a little over 2 million. So that was mostly Ghanaians. So I was thinking 1978, Nigerians' independence from the British colony was in 1960, October 1st, 1960. And 1983, it's exactly 23 years later. How established have Nigerians been at this time to, accommodate people from other countries in number of millions? And outside of the independence, they also just had a civil war. I'm thinking the civil war was the Biafran war. I'm saying I'm thinking. I know that it is, but I'm thinking because I did not check the fact. I did not check that fact. But so they just had a civil war that lasted 3 years. And that was in the between 1967 and 1970. So now in 1983, that was 13 years later. And this 13 years later was when the president was asking people to leave, which means they have already been there for a while before this 13 years later when they were asked to leave. And there was, I'm not going to say a cause, but something happened that I'm not going to use the word warranted, but something happened that caused him to like even come up with the idea of people going back to their country, which was a riot in Kanu. I don't know, I didn't look into the riot, but there was a riot, and people were killed. They said, according to Wikipedia, please, it's all Wikipedia. I'm not going to. Okay, so according to Wikipedia, it was 100 Nigerian policemen that were killed in the riot, and the army were dispatched to take over the 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 scene, and 100 more soldiers were killed. So after the riot, which I didn't look into the detail of the riot, so I'm not going to talk about who orchestrated the riot and who didn't. But the immigrants, all these people from other countries were involved. I'm not saying they started it or it was their idea, but they were in the scenery. What is the word? Arena. Anyway, they were around. And after that riot, the president, Nigeria didn't have a democracy yet. It was a military dictatorship, and the president, um I'm sorry, I have to say his name. I'm just looking. I could only see his last name from here. President Shagari. I wish I could say his full name. President Shagari made an executive order for all these, for every immigrant in Nigeria that were undocumented to go back to their country. I don't know if you can hear that noise. It bugs the shit out of me. I hate when I'm making a video and I have to worry about all these external noises. Anyway, so the main reason why I'm making this video is this. So while I was looking into this, okay, President Shehu, I know for sure I'm saying this wrong, and I'm very, very sorry, but I think I'm saying Shagari right. President Shagari called for the foreigners to leave Nigeria. Okay, the reason why I'm saying this is the international opinions. Let me just use the word opinions because the right word is not coming to mind. That came, criticisms, the international criticisms that came to Nigeria and the president, particularly at that time, from because of this incident, because of this. I don't know if I'm selling it by saying incident. I'm not trying to say that it was a good thing. I have to understand. I know that from everything I've been saying, it sounds like I'm with the president, or that I'm excusing it, his decision, or that I'm making, but the truth is that I don't fully understand it. I don't fully understand what had happened, but I'm putting into my own perspectives the idea, of how and where Nigeria was at that time. Okay. It's mostly, I'm not saying it was right. I'm not saying that I understood what had happened. I'm just saying, in my own understanding of Nigeria as a country, Nigerians' history, sorry, and where they were at that time, this is my perspective. This is how I'm looking at this. I could be wrong about that, but that's my opinion. Is what everything I've said about this is, nothing more than that. So the main thing though that I want to address is the criticism he got from people like the United States State Department, which said Nigerians' actions. I'm just going to read this. The United States State Department described Nigerians' actions as shocking and violation of every imaginable human right. I think it's laughable. I think it's funny. I think it's really funny. And in 2025, you would think I'm saying that about Trump, but I'm not. I mean, I am, but I'm not. Not really. Because, first of all, in no way is it the same thing. There is in no way is this. Okay, let me address the Trump thing right now before I get back to Nigeria was colonized by British, and um when they taught us about colonization, we did not understand what it actually meant. It meant that different regions at that time in this place that is now recognized as Nigeria had to fight literally they had to fight the British actual war, and the British killed, I'm not going to say massacred because it was war. So they didn't just come and massacre people, because our people stood up for themselves and fought them. So, but at the end of the day, the British won. They won all these different wars, because at that time it wasn't one country, Nigeria. So they fought these people, they won. They fought that people, they won. At the point, and they took control of all these different places, right? And then at the point, they merged all these different people together and named it one country. And that is how Nigeria was created. So, and then they colonized, they took over the country. They are in government, they tell you how your life and everything is going to be. They're in charge of the economy and the government and everything. And then in 1960, I think my dad was born before 1960. I'll have to check his year of birth, but my daddy was definitely born 1960s, 1950. I have to check. I'm sorry. Anyway, my dad was 75 when he died last year. So, anyway, I think, yeah, definitely older. 75 when he died. I know Nigerian independence is 65 years old. So, my dad was born in the 1950s. So, when my dad was born, Nigeria was still controlled and ruled by British, by white people from a fucking other continent. And in 1960, Nigeria became independent for the most part from British. And then just 20 years later, don't forget about the war, the Nigerian Biafra war. And then a few years later, I think I read something in this article about an oil boom, an oil boom in Nigeria that made all these people came in to work in Nigeria. So they were here to work because there is this new opportunity in Nigeria and people came to benefit from that. So it was more of what they wanted to gain from Nigeria. And that wasn't even the reason why they were sent back, but because of this uprising riot. I have to actually look into it and understand it better. Now, that is not the same thing with Trump's America immigration. Let me just use the word policies. It's not. America, first of all, they are not the people that are doing all this, they are not in their land. America is a country that actually massacred and wiped the natives of the land they came to and then took over the land. Everyone in America is an immigrant. You don't even have the right to be talking about everyone there is an immigrant at some point accepted as a part of the country. And that doesn't mean that there are no undocumented people in America now, or that they shouldn't have a policy of deportation when it comes to that. But their policy and what Trump is doing now, it's mostly a race thing, is mostly a racial discrimination than it is about undocumented immigration, because most people that are being deported from America in 2025 are people that are going through the legal processes of immigration. And a lot of white people that are coming into Nigeria, that are going into America from Europe, literally, like, there could be white people that are undocumented in America, but nobody